In my last video, I shared about the church here in Scotland and my involvement in the church plant, Cornerstone, here in Edinburgh. Today I thought I would share with you some of my cultural experiences here in Scotland. For Americans, the difference between Scottish culture and American culture can be hard to see at first. On the surface, there are a lot of similarities, both because we share a common language, mostly, and also because of the prevalence of American pop culture. I think because we share a common language and have some shared experiences in the pop culture realm, that the cultural differences between America and Scotland are very much under the surface. And the longer I'm here, the more I start to notice them and be surprised by them. With that said, here are just some snippets of life here and the culture I've seen around Scotland. At my first meeting with the school here, once I got to Edinburgh, I had an experience with a very iconic Scottish tradition, and that was bagpipe playing. I was sitting about 4 floors up in the building, talking with the school secretary, and in a lull in the conversation, we could hear faintly a bagpiper playing down on the Royal Mile. As we listened, she turned to me and said, "Yeah, the views here are great, but the pipers will drive you nutty." I think one of the hardest things to get used to here in Scotland has been some of the changes in language, certain words that mean slightly different things or are not in the American vocabulary. The new words are easy to pick up on, and I can usually guess at their meanings. But some of the words that are common between both the UK English and the American English, but have very different meanings, have been harder to keep straight in my mind. An example of this is my first night at work when I was being trained on how to clean the building. My boss told me that the red mop was for the toilets. And I was a little concerned at this, and I asked him, okay, now I may sound completely stupid, I have mopped before, but how do you use the red mop on the toilets? Because in my mind, when I hear toilet, I think that porcelain throne, and just the throne, not the rest of the room. And he gave me this weird look like, you can mop, but you don't know how to use the mop on the toilets? What's wrong with you? It was about 30 seconds of us just giving each other quizzical looks before I realized, oh, the toilet is the whole room, and that brush that's sitting right there next to the pot is what you use to clean that. Another example of when the Scottish language tripped me up was in Greek class this year. The professor was really good about going around and making sure everyone understood what he was saying and the different verb tenses that we were going over. And at the end of class, he'd usually go person by person and asking them, do you understand this? How's it going? And at the end of one particularly intense day where we had gone over some new verb form, he was going through the class, making sure we all understood, and he turned to me, and I had a somewhat probably stressed out and worried look on my face, and he said, "Paul, is it a dawdle?" The look on my face went from being slightly worried to very worried, and I looked at him and said, "Well, I understand all the Greek, but I don't understand what you just said." At this, the class broke out into laughter, and the stress for everyone was sort of relieved for a second as we realized that, while Greek is a struggle, sometimes the English language can be a struggle too. A question I got a lot when I was visiting the States recently about Scottish culture was, do people really wear kilts here? Now, this is something I found really interesting when I got here. The kilt is sort of analogous to the tuxedo. And so events people would wear a tuxedo to in the States, people wear kilts to here in Scotland. So your formal dances, your weddings, things like that, people would wear a kilt to. And even college graduations. Thank you so much for your prayers and support, for praying for me and for watching these videos. It's really encouraging to know that I have a family in Christ around the world praying for me and with me for Scotland. One of the main ways you can be praying for me is that I would be able to make friendships and build community through the church here and with the people in Scotland. I'm also looking for people to come alongside and help me in this mission by supporting me financially. I'm hoping to raise $5,000 to offset tuition costs while I'm here. If you are able, would you please consider supporting me? There's information in the link below on how to do this. Again, thank you so much for your prayers and support and for watching these videos. Do check out the video description below for links to my blog and a sign up for my newsletter. I'm so thankful that God has given me the ability to live and work and study here in Scotland and to experience the culture. Thank you for being a part of this. Just a second ago, a stoat walked by. Ferrety type animals, stoats and such, aren't that common in the States, but it was rather amazing just to see one saunter past while sitting up here studying Greek.